All right, so a few things I want to talk about with this project. The first is the idea of having first is the limited color palette, where I only use 5 colors, and it is all within a framing, which means that within the boundaries of this frame, every single part of it is important. So, for example, here, the white negative space is one of the 5 colors, where using the limited palette, I have to treat the background not as something independent of the composition, but that it is just as important as the positive space. And I'll send you something about the positive and negative space independent of that, but I just wanted to hit that topic first. The second one is that every color represents a thing, and a thing is hard, it's kind of hard to define, but that, for example, the hem here is a separate part of the bird, and this part of the shoe is a thing, and this part of the shoe is another thing. And in the original comment, I actually included that I put in one mistake on purpose, where there's one distinction between things that I did not distinguish. So here, the hand is part of the bird, and the hand is part of the bird, but here there's no distinction between this color and this color. That I didn't make the distinction of the board a different color just so that I could show that if the distinction isn't made, it's impossible to tell where one thing starts and another thing ends. And the reason that I bring up this idea of things is because I wanted to point out a few things in the way that your bird was rendered. So one thing here is the hem, which is, this whole part is the hem, but I want to bring special attention to the shadow, where there is actually 2 colors being used here, one for the shadow of the hem and one for the light of the hem. And for this exercise, I want each color shape to show a thing, not versions of a thing. So this is actually using light and shadow to show realism and perspective and a very specific camera angle. This means we are seeing the top of the hem. This part of it is only visible from above. And I want this exercise to be just the things. It is an abstraction of objects, not a representation of objects. And again here, the hem, where it shows this entire thing is the hem, and there's the distinction between the shadow part of the hem, which is a darker color than the light part of the hem. And I want to have it all just, and I'll show my example again, all just the hem, where if it's seen from ground level, there is no top or bottom of it. It's just the thing itself, and the distinction is made by color changes. In this example, there is still, oh, did I do that? I don't remember. There is still the, it's still showing the top part of the hem. This is still seen from above, even though there's no shadow to show that there is a distinction, but there is an invisible line here. And the invisible line is shown by the matching of the curvature, where this neck follows an angle, and then this follows an angle. So there is also some circle being implied here, because it's showing hints of realism. The problem with that is that it generates an inconsistency, that once this shows an angle, and there's an angle here as seen from above, to be consistent, it must be replicated in every part, because once this part establishes the logic that we are seeing a camera from above, and once the camera is seen from above, that means that everything is being seen from above, where these curves must be the same or greater. And it changes the whole logic of the scene. Same with the ground, where once this curve is established, then that actually makes a grid in space, where it has to follow certain logic for the rest of it to make sense. And if the ground is at this level, that also means that the eye is at this level, and that this is the horizon point, and that all things respond to this horizon. So you would actually, if this was drawn in perspective, we would actually be seeing the bottom of the hem and the bottom of the face, and we would actually be looking up at the bird's, this would be the bird's chin, this would be the bottom of it, and this would be the bottom of the hem and the bottom of the shirt, because our eyes would be down here. We would be doing a worm's eye view. For the sake of this exercise, it's simplified, where I don't want to be seeing the top or the bottom of anything. I just want each shape to relate to a simplified idea, where it's not that we see this curve because the curve implies a curve of every part of it, because it's a cylinder in space, effectively. Okay, well, I think that's it.